Kia ora hoa ma and YouTubers, Mr. Ashley here again. So, on today's video, we're going to look at my class pet. Now, my class pet is a little bit different to your average class pet. My class pet is my little friend here, a New Zealand copper skink. Now, this is my class pet. His name is Jormungand. Jormungand, for those of you that don't know, is the mythological name of a giant serpent from the Viking mythology. Jormungand got his name because he's known to be a bit of a biter. Now, in New Zealand, we're not really known for having large reptiles. The reptiles that we have here are generally quite small. And Jormungand, like I said, is a New Zealand copper skink. Now, these are commonly found in people's gardens here in New Zealand. They are quite small. They will generally grow up to about 18 centimeters is as long as they get. I'm just going to show you his body there. Okay, I don't want to let him go because he will try and run away. But he's very photogenic, you can tell. Now, in New Zealand, we have a problem with what's called pest skinks. The pest skinks that we have in New Zealand are the Australian rainbow skink. We have quite a variety of different skinks. The copper skink, this guy, being the most common. And depending on the region that you're in, depends on the kind of skinks that we get. Now, we also get various kinds of gecko. The reptile that we're probably most known for in New Zealand is the tuatara. And the tuatara is a reptile that's been around since the time of the dinosaurs. It's known as the only living dinosaur. It's able to hibernate and do all those kind of weird things that most other reptiles don't do. Now, my friend here, the copper skink, he's slightly different to other reptiles in that they give birth to live young. So other varieties of skink, rainbow skinks in particular, have clutches of eggs, very, very tiny eggs. But like I just said, Jormungand, he gives birth to live young. Now, we're pretty certain, I'm not sure, because it's very hard to be able to sex reptiles, especially for your ordinary average school teacher. So initially we assumed that Jormungand was a female, but now we think that he's a male. Because he's gone through the breeding season and birth season and not given birth to any young. And we have had, he came from my backyard at the beginning of this year. Now, just to point out some of the features, he does have a blue tongue. He's quite a personable chap when he gets used to you. Over here you can see his ear, okay, and that's his eyes, his eye. I don't want to touch him, okay, and his snout. Now, if I poke him or prod him too much, he's going to bite me, and I'm not into that. We're quite good friends now. I'm going to gently turn him over. Now, you can see, now this on, sorry. So like, if you see here, this is him pooping on my hand. Now, this is a safety mechanism. Okay, you can see it, sorry buddy. Now, if I show you here, if I can, you can see here his tail is a slightly different color. Now, one of the defense mechanisms of a skink is, particularly if a predator grabs them by the tail, they can make their tail fall off and it just drops off. It's like someone releasing something with their hand, and then what happens is that closes up into almost like a scab, and then from that they are able to grow their tail back. Now, sorry buddy, oh, giving me a nip to keep me honest. Okay. Now you can see here his tail is a slightly different color and it's a little bit more stumpy, sorry bud. And he's in the process of growing his tail back. Now, his tail will grow back, but as far as I'm aware, a skink can only drop their tail one time. It's a one-time deal. After that, he can't drop his tail again. So we're really, really careful with Jormungand. We love him, and we don't want him to go back into the wild, because generally what happens is cats and stuff eat skinks in New Zealand. and which is a bit of a plague on the native skink population, considering when you take into account also the pest skinks fighting for territory and the same resources and habitats. So Jormungand is our pet skink, and he lives in quite a large terrarium inside of our class, and we feed him regularly all the lovely delicious things that he likes to eat, like hoo-hoo grubs and whatnot. Now you can also, he has a beautiful color on his stomach. The camera doesn't do it justice. It's like a lovely orangey red color, and he is also a predatory animal himself. Okay, he likes to eat bugs of all kinds of descriptions. We've also found that he's omnivorous. He's not strictly carnivorous, so he doesn't eat just bugs and worms and grubs and things. He also likes the occasional piece of fruit, so we tend to give him lots of things like berries, guava. He likes guava. He also likes the occasional, what we've found out is cherry tomato. So yeah, he's a fantastic pet to have. We keep a heat lamp in his terrarium for him, and we try and keep his environment as warm as we possibly can. Now, I just thought I'd share this with you. I do recommend to other teachers that might watch this having a class pet. My logic for having a class pet is that there are children that are in our care that never have the experience or the joy of being able to look after a pet or even observe a small animal in their normal environment. And when I say their normal environment, I mean their home environment or in a classroom, etc., etc. So it's quite cool to have a class pet and care for something that isn't a human, if that makes sense, that has different requirements to what a human might have. And so it's a big learning experience. And having a skink empowered my class to want to understand skinks a lot more, and even the children throughout the school would have come to visit our friend Jormungand, and now we're finding what's happening is children who are finding things like worms and stuff want to bring them so that they can feed Jormungand. Obviously we're quite strict about with what we feed them. I generally don't accept things from people just willy-nilly, because we not only monitoring what we're feeding him, but we also know what he will and will not eat, and we're kind to the bugs that people, we're not going to stick things in there that he's not going to eat and will end up dying from starvation or dehydration because they're stuck in a terrarium, if that makes sense, because we're providing solely for Jormungand. But this is my friend Jormungand, and I thought YouTubers, you might want to meet him. Okay, he's not fully grown yet. Well, body wise he probably is, but in terms of the tail, he's got a lot more length to go yet. And so yeah, thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this video. If you like my videos, please hit subscribe or the like button at the bottom of the video, and if you have any suggestions on more content, please put it in the comments below. Ka kite anō.